I cannot tell you how many pictures I have taken with this Yongnuo 50mm lens. It was my first prime lens, which is a little bit ridiculous concerning the price because it's very cheap. And I'm using it on my Canon 77D. Today I'm gonna show you a real world review, and I went out into the woods to take some pictures just of normal stuff and then see if this lens is still good enough or at all good enough. But spoiler, yes, it is pretty good for the price and definitely a good beginner lens. If you are familiar with the Canon lens, the cheaper one, you will see that they look quite similar. I had the pleasure to work with the cheap Canon and the expensive Canon one, and yes, there is a difference to this one, and honestly it would be weird if that wasn't the case, because this is way cheaper and obviously more affordable, but with Canon lenses you have a little bit more quality and you pay for that as well. Still, as a cheap lens, this one does a very good job, and if you're on a budget, this one is definitely worth going for. If you can save up a little bit more, I would recommend going for the Canon one because it will last you a little bit longer and give you a little bit more quality. At some point you will outgrow this lens, which is fine. It's a beginner lens, it's not a high quality prime lens. It's really good for starting out, and it will be a good backup lens for your fancy 50mm lens. The autofocus is a little bit slow and sometimes a little bit weird, which means that it jumps around a bit, and in video this is definitely not a good thing and nothing you should be dependent on. Switch to manual to make sure that you have in focus what you want to be focused on. For photography, this isn't such a huge issue. If you are a wedding shooter and need a quick lens, definitely don't do this. But if you shoot portraits with friends or models and you can take a little bit more time, then this won't be so much of an issue. I personally prefer shooting manual, but I really got used to autofocus as well. So I switch in between those modes a lot and just, work with what suits me best. Since I'm recording all of my stuff with a Sony camera, you can imagine that I'm not using this one for video. So I thought it would be fun to test it out. And as you can see, autofocus doesn't perform so well. No surprise there, we just talked about that. When I was outside, I shot different apertures for you guys, and I started with 1.8 and worked my way up to 22. And the weird thing is that my camera always showed me the 1.8 on my screen. I don't know if this is an issue of my camera or of the lens. I probably should check it out with another one. But that was quite awkward. Still, the result stayed true to the aperture number, so here you can take a look at the different apertures. I tried my best to stay at the same position, switched the apertures and adjusted the ISO a little bit, so if it's noisy at some point, don't be mad at me, but at least you can take a look at the different apertures. I hope this was helpful. As I said, I see this as a beginner lens, and I will tell you that you will outgrow this lens at some point, and that's fine. It only means that you're evolving as a photographer. I mean, that's a good thing. And you only spend 50 bucks on this and not 200, and now you can move on to the next thing. I have outgrown this lens, and don't look at me if you think, why is she still using it? It still performs well for my photography, for landscapes and people photography. It still does a good job, and since I'm switching brands, I'm not investing into new lenses now. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions left, leave me a comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one.